There is a dangerous mistake that intelligent people make every day. They believe that being honest means revealing everything about themselves. It doesn't. The moment you reveal too much, you give other people information they can use to predict you, influence you, manipulate you, or even destroy your position. Not everyone who listens to you wishes you well. Some people study your weaknesses while pretending to care. Some remember your insecurities while you forget that you ever told them. And some wait patiently until the information you gave them becomes useful. The world rewards those who understand human nature. You do not need to become cold. You do not need to distrust everyone. And you certainly do not need to live in fear. But you must learn the difference between asterisk privacy and secrecy, trust and vulnerability, honesty and exposure. There are things about you that should remain behind a closed door, your deepest weakness, your next move, your greatest fear, your financial situation, your private conflicts, your ambitions before they become reality. The people you truly depend on, the wounds you have not healed. These are not conversations for everyone, because once information leaves your mouth, you no longer control where it goes. Remember this. Asterisk. A person who knows what you want knows how to tempt you. A person who knows what you fear knows how to control you. And a person who knows where you are weak knows exactly where to strike. So, in this speech, we are going to uncover asterisk asterisk 10 things you should never casually reveal about yourself, asterisk asterisk. Not because you should become secretive, but because you should become strategically aware. Learn to speak less. Observe more. Protect what matters, because sometimes your greatest power is not what you say, it is what you choose to keep to yourself. One of the most dangerous things you can do in a world governed by human nature is to reveal your deepest weaknesses to the wrong people. You may believe that opening up makes you authentic, honest, or trustworthy, and sometimes it does. But there is a difference between being emotionally honest and giving someone unrestricted access to the parts of you that can be used against you. Not everyone who listens to your pain is there to protect you. Some people listen because they are curious. Some listen because they want information. And some listen because they are quietly calculating how that information might benefit them later. Your weaknesses are not simply the things you dislike about yourself. They include your insecurities, emotional triggers, fears of rejection, doubts about your abilities, personal wounds, desperate desires for approval, and the situations that make you lose control. These are sensitive points in your psychological structure. If someone understands them deeply, they can predict how you will react under pressure. They know what words will make you angry, what criticism will make you insecure, what temptation will make you compromise, and what fear will make you hesitate. This does not mean you should become emotionally closed or refuse to trust anyone. The lesson is more subtle. Trust should be earned gradually. You should observe how people handle small pieces of information before giving them access to the parts of yourself that matter most. A person who constantly exposes other people's secrets will eventually expose yours. A person who mocks someone else's vulnerability will probably have little respect for yours. And a person who uses personal information as ammunition during arguments is showing you exactly what they might do with your weaknesses. Pay attention to behavior, not promises. People often say, "You can trust me." But trust is not created by words. It is created by repeated actions. Watch how someone behaves when they are angry with you. Watch how they treat people who have nothing to offer them. Watch whether they respect boundaries when nobody is watching. Watch whether they can disagree without humiliating someone. These moments reveal character more clearly than compliments ever will. There is another reason to protect your weaknesses. When you constantly announce your insecurities, you begin reinforcing them in your own mind. You repeatedly tell yourself that you are not good enough, that you are afraid, that you need approval, that you cannot succeed without someone else's validation. Eventually, your private doubt becomes part of your public identity. Instead, learn to work on your weaknesses quietly, improve without announcing every struggle, heal without demanding an audience, build confidence without needing everyone to know that you once lacked it. There is immense power in silent improvement. When you stop explaining every problem and start solving it, something changes inside you. You become less dependent on other people's opinions. You stop looking for sympathy and begin searching for solutions. You stop asking everyone to understand your pain and start developing the strength to move beyond it. And remember, the goal is not to hide every emotion. Genuine relationships require vulnerability. There will be people who deserve to know the real you, but even then, vulnerability should be intentional, not automatic. Choose carefully who receives your deepest truths. Choose people who have demonstrated loyalty through time, consistency, and character. Your weakness becomes dangerous when it is placed in careless hands. Protect it until you have identified the people who have earned the right to see it. Let your actions reveal your strength while your private work transforms the parts of you that still need growth. Because the strongest person in the room is not always the one who speaks the loudest about what they have survived. Sometimes it is the person who quietly knows exactly where they are vulnerable, refuses to let others exploit it, and continues becoming stronger without needing anyone to know how much it took to get there. One of the most powerful forms of control is knowing when to remain silent about what you are planning. The moment you announce your next move, you invite other people into a process that was never supposed to belong to them. Your plans are still fragile when they exist only in your mind. They need time to develop, mistakes to be corrected, weaknesses to be discovered, and opportunities to appear. When you reveal everything too early, you give other people the chance to interfere before your idea has become strong enough to defend itself. People often reveal their plans because they want recognition before they have achieved anything. They announce the business they are going to build, the money they are going to make, the person they are going to become, or the dramatic change they are about to make in their lives. For a moment, they feel powerful because people are listening, but there is a hidden danger. Talking about your future can create the emotional satisfaction of accomplishment before the actual work has been completed. You receive attention for a result you have not yet produced, and that attention can quietly reduce the hunger required to achieve it. There is also another problem. Not everyone wants you to succeed. Some people may smile when you tell them your plans while secretly hoping you fail. Others may discourage you because your progress threatens their sense of superiority. Some may criticize your idea simply because they cannot imagine themselves having the courage to pursue it. And some may take your idea, modify it, and move faster than you expected. This is why strategic silence matters. You do not need to explain every decision you make. You do not need to announce every goal. You do not need permission from everyone around you before changing your life. Sometimes the smartest response is simply to keep working. Let people underestimate you if they choose to. Let them believe you are doing less than you are. Let them wonder why you are quiet. While they are trying to understand what you are planning, you can be improving your position. You can be learning, preparing, saving resources, building relationships, developing discipline, and creating options. Your actions become more powerful when they arrive without warning. Imagine someone who constantly tells everyone that they are going to become successful. Eventually, people stop listening. Now imagine someone who says almost nothing, disappears for a period of time, works relentlessly, and returns with results that nobody expected. The second person creates a different kind of impression. There was no announcement to debate, no prediction to criticize, and no plan for others to interfere with. Silence also protects you from unnecessary opinions. When you reveal your goals to everyone, you collect advice from people who do not understand your circumstances. Suddenly, you begin questioning your own judgment because 10 people have 10 different opinions. You start changing direction based on external reactions instead of internal conviction. Of course, there are moments when sharing a plan is necessary. Trusted partners, mentors, family members, or people directly involved may need to know what you are doing. But there is a difference between informing the people who need to know and broadcasting your intentions to everyone. Your future is not public property. You are allowed to keep your ambitions private until they become reality. You are allowed to change direction without explaining yourself to the entire world. You are allowed to work quietly while everyone else is busy talking. The less you reveal about your next move, the more freedom you maintain. Nobody can easily sabotage what they cannot see. Nobody can prepare against a strategy they do not understand. Nobody can use your own words to measure your progress against you. So stop announcing every beginning. Stop seeking applause for unfinished work. Stop explaining your strategy to people who have not earned access to it. Build quietly, prepare carefully, observe constantly. Then, when the moment comes, let the results speak with a clarity that words could never provide. Fear is one of the most private forces inside a human being, and revealing it carelessly can give another person an unexpected advantage over you. Everyone has fears. Fear of failure, rejection, humiliation, abandonment, poverty, loneliness, being exposed, losing control, or discovering that the person you thought you were becoming may never appear. These fears are part of being human, but they become dangerous when you place them in the hands of people who have not earned the right to understand them. A person who knows your greatest fear knows something about the boundaries of your behavior. They know what can make you hesitate. They know what can make you desperate. They know which words can disturb your confidence and which situations can push you into making emotional decisions. This is why you must become selective about what you reveal. You do not need to pretend that you have no fears. You simply need to understand that not every person deserves access to them. Think about how easily fear can influence a decision. Someone who fears rejection may tolerate disrespect simply because they are terrified of being alone. Someone who fears failure may avoid opportunities because they cannot tolerate the possibility of looking foolish. Someone who fears financial insecurity may accept terrible treatment from an employer because they believe they have no alternatives. Someone who fears abandonment may become overly dependent on another person and slowly surrender their independence. When people know these fears, they may consciously or unconsciously use them to influence you. A manipulative person does not always attack your strength. Sometimes they simply touch the fear underneath it. They may threaten to leave when they know you fear abandonment. They may question your ability when they know you fear failure. They may withdraw approval when they know you desperately need validation. Suddenly, the person is no longer having a normal disagreement with you. They are pressing a psychological button they know exists. This is why emotional control begins with self-awareness. You must know your own fears before anyone else can understand them better than you do. Ask yourself what situations make you react irrationally. What criticism affects you more than it should? What kind of rejection keeps you awake at night? What possibility makes you abandon your principles? What are you constantly trying to prove? And who are you trying to prove it to? Once you understand your fears, stop treating them as commands. Fear can speak loudly without being correct. It can tell you to run when you should remain calm. It can tell you to accept less when you should demand better. It can convince you that one failure means your entire identity is a failure. The mature response is not to eliminate fear completely, but to stop allowing fear to make every important decision. There is tremendous strength in confronting your fears privately. If you are afraid of failure, take small risks and become comfortable with mistakes. If you fear rejection, learn to survive the word no. If you fear being alone, develop a life that does not depend entirely on someone else's presence. If you fear criticism, become so grounded in your values that every opinion does not shake your identity. You do not need to announce this transformation. Let your confidence develop quietly. The person who once needed constant reassurance can become someone who trusts their own judgment. The person who once avoided difficult situations can become someone who walks directly toward discomfort. The person who once allowed fear to control their choices can become someone who understands fear without obeying it. There is also wisdom in choosing carefully who sees your vulnerable side. A trusted friend, mentor, or loved one may deserve honesty because they have demonstrated loyalty and compassion. Vulnerability with the right person can create genuine connection, but vulnerability with everyone can become exposure. The difference is not whether you have fear. The difference is whether you know who has earned access to it. Never be ashamed of your fears. Study them, understand them, strengthen yourself against them. You do not become powerful by pretending that nothing scares you. You become powerful when you know exactly what scares you and refuse to let that knowledge become a leash in someone else's hands. Keep your deepest fears close until you know who can be trusted with them. Let your actions demonstrate courage instead of constantly explaining what you are afraid of. When you stop giving other people a map of your emotional pressure points, you begin to reclaim something extremely valuable: control over your own reactions, your own decisions, and your own direction. Money is one of the most sensitive forms of information you can reveal about yourself, because the moment people know how much you have, how much you earn, what you own, or how badly you need it, their perception of you can change. Financial information does not simply describe your economic situation. It can influence how people treat you, what they expect from you, what they ask from you, and even how they calculate your value. You may think that telling someone your salary, savings, debts, investments, or financial goals is harmless. But information about money can create jealousy, entitlement, pressure, competition, and unnecessary judgment. A person who knows you are doing well financially may suddenly expect you to pay more, lend money, provide favors, or support a lifestyle that you never agreed to maintain. A person who knows you are struggling may begin treating you differently, sometimes with sympathy, sometimes with disrespect, and sometimes with an opportunity to take advantage of your desperation. This is why financial privacy is a form of self-protection. You do not need to explain your income to everyone who asks. You do not need to prove that you are successful by displaying what you can afford. And you certainly do not need to reveal your financial difficulties to people who have not demonstrated that they genuinely care about your well-being. There is a psychological trap that comes with talking too much about money. When people know what you earn, conversations can become comparisons. Someone begins comparing your lifestyle with theirs. You begin comparing your achievements with theirs. Instead of focusing on building your future, you start thinking about how your financial position appears from the outside. This can lead to unnecessary spending simply to maintain an image. The desire to appear successful can become expensive. People buy things they cannot comfortably afford because they want others to believe they have already made it. They display possessions, talk about expensive purchases, and constantly mention their financial achievements. But real financial strength does not require an audience. A person can be quietly building savings, reducing debt, investing wisely, learning valuable skills, and creating long-term security while appearing completely ordinary to everyone around them. There is also danger in revealing financial weakness too openly. When someone knows that you desperately need money, they may gain leverage over your decisions. You might accept unfair terms because you feel trapped. You might tolerate disrespect because you believe you have no alternatives. You might reveal more personal information than necessary because you are desperate for assistance. The solution is not to reject help. There are moments when asking for financial guidance or support is necessary and responsible. The important question is who you ask and how much you reveal. Choose people based on character, not convenience. Someone who has repeatedly demonstrated integrity is very different from someone who only appears when there is something to gain. Your financial goals should also be protected. If you are building something, saving for a major objective, paying off debt, or working toward financial independence, you do not need to announce every detail. Sharing your goals can sometimes create pressure to perform for an audience rather than making decisions based on what is actually best for you. Let your financial progress remain quiet. You do not need applause for every sacrifice. You do not need validation for every investment. You do not need to prove your success through possessions. The strongest financial position is often the one nobody can easily see because it is built on discipline rather than appearance. Remember that money reveals something about human behavior. People may behave differently when they believe you have money, and they may behave differently when they believe you do not. Protecting your financial information gives you greater freedom to observe those changes without announcing your position first. Build your finances privately. Spend according to your values, not according to other people's expectations. Save without needing recognition. Improve your earning power without broadcasting every move. And when someone becomes excessively interested in what you earn, what you own, or what you can afford, pay attention to why they are asking. Your financial situation is not public property. You decide who needs to know, how much they need to know, and when they have earned the right to know. The less unnecessary information you provide, the less opportunity there is for comparison, manipulation, pressure, or envy to enter your life, allowing you to focus on building a future that does not depend on anyone else's approval or perception of your worth. There are battles in your life that do not need an audience. Not every conflict deserves to be explained, and not every personal struggle needs to become public information. One of the most powerful forms of self-control is knowing when to remain silent about what is happening behind closed doors. You may feel an intense desire to explain yourself when someone misunderstands you, criticizes you, or takes part in a conflict involving you, but constantly explaining your private struggles can give other people access to situations they have no business controlling. When you are going through a difficult period, emotions are usually stronger than your judgment. You may be angry, disappointed, hurt, confused, or desperate for someone to understand your side. In that state, it is easy to tell too much to the wrong person. You reveal what happened, what you fear, what the other person said, what you plan to do, and what hurts you the most. For a moment, you feel relieved because someone is listening, but later you may realize that you gave sensitive information to someone who was never truly loyal to you. Private conflicts can become public weapons. A person may repeat your words to someone else. A casual conversation can become gossip. Your explanation can be taken out of context. Your emotional reaction can become the only part of the story people remember. Suddenly, a conflict that originally involved two people becomes a conversation involving 10, 20, or even more people, each forming opinions based on incomplete information. This is why you must learn the difference between seeking wise counsel and seeking validation. Wise counsel comes from someone who genuinely wants you to make a better decision. Validation often comes from people who simply tell you what you want to hear. If you surround yourself with people who constantly confirm your anger, you may become more committed to the conflict instead of solving it. Choose carefully who you speak to when you are struggling. A mature person will help you think clearly rather than encouraging you to react emotionally. They will challenge your assumptions when necessary. They will remind you to consider your own behavior instead of making the entire situation someone else's fault. Most importantly, they will respect your privacy after the conversation ends. There is also power in solving certain problems without announcing them. When you stop explaining every difficulty, you create space to think. Instead of spending hours telling people what happened, you can spend that time deciding what to do next. Instead of repeatedly describing how someone hurt you, you can focus on rebuilding your confidence. Instead of proving that you were right, you can concentrate on becoming stronger. Silence does not mean weakness. Sometimes silence is discipline. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need to correct every rumor. You do not need to convince everyone that your version of events is the truth. People who know your character over time will judge you based on patterns, not on one dramatic story. Be especially careful when discussing family problems, relationship conflicts, workplace disputes, and personal disappointments. These areas contain information that can affect your reputation and relationships long after the original problem has disappeared. Once private information spreads, you cannot easily retrieve it. You may forgive someone tomorrow, but the people you told about the conflict may continue judging that person for years. There is another reason to protect your struggles. Constantly talking about them can keep you psychologically connected to them. Every time you retell the story, you may relive the anger, disappointment, or humiliation. You begin defining yourself by what happened rather than by what you are becoming. Healing often requires knowing when to stop repeating the story and start creating a new chapter. Of course, there are situations where speaking up is necessary. If you are being harmed, threatened, exploited, or treated unfairly, seeking appropriate support is not weakness. Speaking to a trusted person or qualified professional can be an important act of strength. Privacy should never mean suffering in silence when genuine help is needed. But outside those situations, develop the discipline to keep unnecessary details private. Let people see the results of your growth rather than every painful step that produced it. You do not owe the world an explanation for every difficult season of your life. Some battles are meant to make you wiser, not more public. Protect your peace by choosing carefully what you share, with whom you share it, and why you are sharing it. When you learn to handle your private struggles with patience and discretion, you become less dependent on outside approval and more capable of directing your own life without allowing every conflict to become a public performance. Your ambitions are among the most valuable things you possess, and one of the easiest ways to weaken them is to reveal them too early to people who have not earned the right to know. A goal is fragile when it is still developing. Before it becomes reality, it needs protection, discipline, patience, and uninterrupted focus. The more people you tell, the more opinions you invite, and the more opportunities you create for doubt to enter your mind. Many people make the mistake of announcing their dreams before they have built the foundation necessary to achieve them. They tell friends about the business they will create, the money they will make, the lifestyle they will have, or the person they are determined to become. At first, this feels motivating. People congratulate them, encourage them, and admire their confidence. But there is a hidden danger in receiving recognition for something you have not accomplished yet. When you receive praise for an unfinished ambition, your mind can experience a small taste of the reward before the actual work has been completed. You begin feeling like the person you want to become without doing everything required to become that person. Talking creates the illusion of progress. Planning becomes more satisfying than executing. Announcing becomes easier than enduring the boring, difficult, repetitive work that real achievement demands. There is another problem with revealing your ambitions. People see your dream through the limitations of their own experience. Someone who has never built a business may tell you that your idea is impossible. Someone who has failed may project their fear onto you. Someone who has never taken a major risk may convince you that taking one is foolish. Their opinion may sound reasonable, but it may have nothing to do with your actual potential. This does not mean every criticism is worthless. Sometimes valuable advice comes from people who have more experience than you. The key is learning to distinguish useful criticism from emotional projection. Ask yourself whether the person giving the advice understands the path you are trying to take. Have they achieved something similar? Do they genuinely want you to improve? Are they offering practical information? Or simply explaining why your dream makes them uncomfortable? Your ambitions also attract envy. This is an uncomfortable truth, but human beings do not always respond positively to another person's potential. Some people are comfortable with you as long as you remain at their level. The moment you begin changing, improving, earning more, becoming more confident, or pursuing a larger vision, the relationship may change. Someone who once encouraged you may suddenly begin making jokes about your goals. They may call you unrealistic, arrogant, obsessed, or foolish. Do not waste your energy trying to convince them. You are not required to make everyone understand your vision. Some people will only believe in your ability after they see the results. Let them remain uncertain. Your responsibility is not to win arguments about your future. Your responsibility is to build that future. Keep your ambitions protected while they are growing. Work quietly, study quietly, save quietly, practice quietly, build relationships quietly, make mistakes privately and learn from them. You do not need an audience for every stage of development. There is tremendous power in becoming unpredictable. When people think they know exactly what you are doing, they can anticipate your choices. But when you stop announcing every ambition, you create room to change direction without having to explain yourself. You can adapt when circumstances change. You can abandon a bad idea without embarrassment. You can pursue a better opportunity without worrying about what you previously told everyone. Your ambition should belong to you before it belongs to the world. Share your vision with people who are directly involved, people whose expertise can genuinely help you, and people who have demonstrated loyalty through action. Everyone else can discover your progress when the results become visible. The world does not need to hear about everything you are building. Sometimes the greatest satisfaction comes from quietly becoming the person you once talked about becoming. Let your discipline remain invisible. Let your preparation happen away from applause. Let your progress accumulate without constant explanation. One day, people may notice the difference. They may ask when you changed, how you did it, or where your confidence came from. You will not need a long explanation. The evidence will already be standing in front of them. Protect your ambitions from unnecessary opinions, premature praise, jealousy, and distraction. Keep your vision close, especially when it is still fragile. Speak when speaking serves your purpose. Remain silent when silence protects your progress, and allow your results to reveal what your words never needed to announce.